There are many ways to do yoga. Let's do a few postures to loosen our hands and our wrists. So giving ourselves some room, some space. Let's come on to our hands and our knees. Hands underneath our shoulders, knees underneath our hips, and we're creating like a tabletop shape with the body. And just relax the tops of feet to ground. And let's breathe in slowly through our nose. And breathe out fully through our nose. And we'll look right in between our thumbs. As we breathe in, we'll drop our belly down toward the floor, lifting our heart and our seat up towards sky, and let's look forward and slightly up. As we breathe out, we draw our navel in, lifting our middle back high, pressing off of our hands, pressing off of our knees, and we'll drop our head and let it hang heavy. Breathing in, stretching forward and back. This is cow pose. Breathing out, rounding middle back up, arching up like an angry cat. Once more. Breathing in to lengthen, into cow. And breathing out to round, into cat. Bringing our back to a flat neutral line. We'll focus specifically on our wrist. So fingers stay wide. Let's turn our right fingertips out to the right and press down through our palm. And notice how your wrist feels. Does this feel okay? Is there maybe too much strain? Are you starting to feel some opening? We can keep our fingers pointing to the side, or we might turn our fingertips toward our right knee, pressing our whole palm flat to floor, if that's okay in our wrist. Breathing in here, and breathing out. And let's release, pointing our fingertips back out to the side, and then angling fingertips back to front. And we'll do our other hand. Left fingertips out to side, whole palm flat. Feels like we're pressing through the floor while moving our shoulders out and away from our ears. And this might feel good, this might be enough stretch, but doing here what we did on the other side. So maybe angling our fingertips back toward our knee, and then pressing down through our palm fully. And here we're working with our one wrist especially, but keep pressing into the other hand as well, feeling connected and staying grounded to the floor. Angling our fingertips back out to side, pressing into palm, and then angling our fingertips forward. And let's do that alternating. So one hand, the fingers flip to the side or all the way back. Then we do the same with the other side or all the way back. Then we release the first hand, angling fingers front, and then we release the second hand. And let's do that a few times, going to that place where our wrist gets a nice stretch, whether that's out to side wall or back toward our knees. And one more time with each hand. And then we'll turn our fingers forward. Let's come back into downward facing dog. So we'll begin in child's by shifting our hips to our heels, stretching our torso long, reaching our arms forward and out, finding the nice splay, the space between our fingertips once again, palms flatten to the floor, head hangs heavy. With a breath in, let's draw our shoulders forward to meet our wrist. Tucking into our toes, we'll shift our hips back to our heels. Stepping onto our toes with our breath in, let's lift our hips high to sky. Coming into our upside down V shape. Heels pressed toward floor, knees bend. We invite our hips up and back in a way that lengthens our torso, our arms, and brings space to our wrist. A little bit of movement here, maybe pedaling out the legs, bending one knee and then the other. Maybe rising high on toes, melting down through heels, maybe even wiggling through the hips Any sort of movement that feels good in our body here. And bending our knees deeply, let's look forward toward our hands. Slowly we walk our feet front, coming into forward fold, step by step. Bending our knees as we go so that our hands stay connected to the floor. Heavy head, heavy torso. Another stretch for our wrist. Lift one foot and slide your hand underneath it, palm connecting to the sole of your foot. So to start, your toes might just rest on your fingertips. Toes might make their way to the palm. Eventually you want your toes to brush the inside of your wrist. We'll do that with the other hand as well, scooping it underneath our foot and then pressing foot into it. And bend the knees a lot here. And then we'll let our head hang heavy. And it feels like our belly is pressing into our thighs. We keep that connection, start to lengthen legs up, feeling stretch in backs of legs, while pulling the torso forward and down by bending through the elbows and opening them out wide to the side. It's called gorilla pose, kind of has that shape. And we'll release here when we're ready. So release the first hand, and then the second hand. Keep the deep knee bend so belly supported on the thighs and let head hang heavy. As we breathe in, let's slowly round up, drawing in our navel. Stacking shoulders over hips. Unrolling. Let's take some rolls with our shoulders. Shoulders draw up by ears, back and down. Bring the movement into the upper back, into the neck. Inhale, we'll sweep our hands high to sky, gazing up. As we exhale, diving forward, hinging from our hips, bending through our knees, coming back into our forward fold. Let's place our fingertips to earth right below our shoulders and look slightly forward. And then start to bend the knees, lifting the heels, dropping the seat. Shoulders come over hips, maybe hands leave the earth. Hands can draw to our heart, little balance. Hinging forward, hands come back down to the floor. Hands walk front. We gently place our knees down to earth, untucking our toes, taking a seat on our heels. Deep breath in, closing our eyes. Full breath out. Big sweep of arms out and up to the sky. Hands draw down to our heart.